happen? And from
Yes.
what I understand, in a remarkably short amount of time, 4 days.
It was like 6 days. It happened. It happened quick.
Oh,
We had the idea. Tiana, who is my partner with She Blazing, we had an idea, and then she sent me, oh, hey, you know that you could do it this way, and I'm like, oh, let's go. We just went head in. So, ladies, thank you for coming in and joining in our conversation for the world of cannabis marketing. We have so much good things to discuss because we've had discussions about on the panel about cultivating a cannabis brand, effects of cannabis brand with the COVID-19, and just really good conversation about caring about what you do and applying your skill set to the industry. So with that being said, I'm going to go how I see it on my screen to the left. I'm going to go with Cassie and come in, join in, and tell us all about you and what you do.
Okay, great. Yes, so my name's Cassi Konopasek, and I'm a co-founder of a company called HempNet, and we're focused on connecting brands with producers so they can develop their products. And so we've been developing CBD products. However, that also, through our business partners and some other consulting, we also have been, engaging cannabis brands as well, including one of my co-founders is worked with Prohibited and Ronin Content, and then two of us come from the social influencer background with very large platforms like Maker Studios. Social Blue Book is the new platform. So that's gives up a very diverse background of not only CBD brands, but cannabis brands, and creating content and digital media around the culture and the products that are being born right now.
Okay.
Yes.
And next I want to introduce my co-host, Shirley Jew. Shirley, give them a little background about you and how you speak for cannabis from your end.
Well, basically, I work in the music industry, so I was working at Power 106. I got laid off due to coronavirus. But I'm also a journalist, so I write for like Variety, LA Weekly, Revolt. But besides music, cannabis is like my number one love and passion. I work with a few brands out in Los Angeles. I work with Rapper Weed, and I work with Candy Pens. Candy Pens has a beautiful house in the hills, so I do a lot of my interviews there, and we're able to collaborate on that end. I also have them sponsoring my show on Baller Alert, where I actually smoke with the artist. And I have a series on Rapper Weed as well, where I smoke with the artist. I just think cannabis is essential to everyone's life.
It is an essential business.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It is an essential business. And I brought Cristina on because I really feel like it's important for us to have the conversation when it comes to influencer marketing for cannabis brands, because that is said to be the forefront of marketing and needing to direct sales. Mm-hmm. But I want to know, I really want to have that conversation on where it's moving to and how the influencer marketing should be structured. Next, I want to introduce Cara. And I don't want to chop up your last name because you already told me how to say your last name, but being me, I have to have you introduce yourself. Sorry.
Thank you so much. So such an honor to be among this amazing group of women here. And we all get to talk about two of our favorite subjects of cannabis and marketing. I'm Cara Raffele. I'm the VP of Marketing at Manifest 7. Manifest 7 is the parent company to several brands, including Whedon, which is a cannabis retailer and delivery service statewide in California. We have My Jane, which is a curated cannabis concept for women. We also have on the ancillary side, Hippie Butler, Rolling Paper Depot, and several other brands as well.
Yeah, Cara's amazing. She's one of the people in the industry that she doesn't know that I do look up to, because we're both from marketing. And, I love women that's doing amazing thing and that's changing and moving the needle in cannabis, and they don't even know it. So kudos.
Thank you.
And my favorite girl, one of my favorite girls, me and Cristina talk all the time. I always picking her brain, asking her 1,000 questions. She's one of my good friends in the cannabis industry that I know that I can come to and talk to about this cannabis craziness, and we can kind of trade stories and over a sweet potato chili fries. So please, Christina, introduce yourself.
I'm honored to be here today with you guys, even digitally. As I said, I'd like to have maybe something like this happening when the madness ends. But anyways, it's still good that we have all the technologies in the world to be able to communicate and collaborate digitally. So thank you for being here today. So a little bit about myself. I work for a group of cannabis companies since 2017, I think. I've done B2B cannabis marketing. I've done B2C. So a lot of things changed since I started to work in this industry. One of the main things is that I helped build a few cannabis brands, and one of them is Bloom brand. Another one is an extraction company, an extraction brand, which is Capna Systems. So yeah, since 2017, I'm doing my best to help grow these companies, to help drive the business, to help and lead brand licensing programs and expand the brand in different states. So yeah, I've seen medical market, I've seen the recreational marketing. So I think we are in a good place today. From the consumer's perspective, there is a long way to go in terms of cannabis, but we'll get there eventually. I think this is just the beginning.
Absolutely. And last but surely not least, I have Letty Moran, and she's one of my good friends, and she's amazing in the industry. And go ahead, Letty. Take it.
Hello, ladies and audience. I work with distribution. I work with a couple of manufacturers, and I also come from event marketing background. So I've worked in events, production, logistics, marketing for about 15 years, prior to cannabis turning into this wonderful legal industry. As well, I've had some experiences in the, pre-legal industry, but have always had an affinity for the cannabis plant. But now I'm definitely shifting my focus to creating experiential events around cannabis brands, and I'm even honing my focus into more so to work with equity brands. I'm sure you ladies are familiar with the equity projects that are going around. I'm just familiar with what's going on in California, and I live in the Bay Area, so San Francisco, Sacramento, and a few other counties have begun to implement equity, meaning if you're a woman or a minority, or you've, had a cannabis charge in the past, then you would be able to get licensing at a fraction of the cost. So just kind of helping and working with other powerhouses within that equity community to really create a tighter knit community to where we can create an ecosystem of shared, wealth, right? Security, networking. And what I find interesting and what I love so much is cannabis really seems to be an industry that will allow us to do that as women, and for some minorities as well. It gives us a chance to come in with a skill set and kind of create our own lane and build alliances, and just share love and happiness, healing, in our community and in the world.
I love that. And us as marketers, it's our responsibility to bring mainstream consumers to the cannabis market, right? What do you feel the question is like, how do we do that in a respectable way, proper way, and an intelligent way? Being in the industry filled of one-off brands who just throw a rapper or someone onto the brand and they don't really have a core market. How do you feel about your brands over there at Manifest 7, Cara? How do you guys stand out with your messaging and stand out from all the craziness that's going on right now and all the brands that's being developed.
Absolutely. It is a tough thing to be able to determine what your target audience is, not so that you simply have a clear sales path, but so that we stop being something that is transactional based on price and really be able to cultivate a community of consumers who need us and feel like we're the brand for them. That takes on a different flavor for many of our brands. For Highlander's distribution, for example, which is a B2B play, it really is about the strength of the relationships they form. So we're always touting first higher service. The founders of Highlander Distribution, for example, have a military background, and that really infuses what they do of truly being part of a higher calling, and higher service. Compare that with Whedon, for example. Whedon, again, is our cannabis retailer, delivery, and storefront. And we built the brand from the ground up to, of course, embrace our former patients and those who have been longtime cannabis users, but to really be the place where new time consumers go, specifically Generation X and baby boomers, and demystify cannabis. From surveys that we did, we really looked at what people need and want. And they're not necessarily looking after a particular strain or a particular brand, because so many brands are still trying to own their own market share and come out as a leader. What our experience is in marketing is to look to the common denominators. A woman may feel like, I just haven't gotten a good night's sleep in 15 years. What do I take for sleep? For example, or someone else within our community might just say, well, I don't want to use cannabis every day yet, but I have this tennis elbow that's really bothering me. Something like that, to show that through Whedon, cannabis is part and parcel of everyday life. Compare and contrast that to My Jane, which I co-founded, and Hélène Blanchette was on earlier today talking about the future of My Jane. But that really is a community for women. We originally designed it, again, for Generation X and baby boomers, but the commonality there is that women are the hubs of communities. They're the hubs of families. They're the hubs of business. So very often we look to women who we trust as our peers or our mentors or our family members and friends. What would you take? How do you feel about that? That helps to shape and guide the influence. So we really wanted to be able to position My Jane as the trusted source of information. And much of that is community-led. So that really flavors how we conduct marketing. We use the traditional aspects of marketing, but in a different way for the cannabis industry.
Right. I love that. I love that. Oh, okay, awesome. So, Cassie, I actually have a question for you.
Great.
So how someone wants to know how would they go about creating a celebrity brand? So say like we have a celebrity who wants to do a CBD brand.
Right.
What is the process that they will go through, and how would you help them with marketing?
Absolutely. So first we do a consultation, just discussing what is, like Cara, like what you were saying, what is the energy and the culture that you want around the product? What is the vision? Because that really plays in from the very beginning of the development of the product. And then the process is, we like to bring 3 different sources to them, samples, and just start discussing the creation of, like, what is the quality going to be? What kind of additional pieces do you want to the formulation, in terms of, is it for sleep? Is it going to contain adaptogens? Like, that really does play into also your audience, because people are looking for very different things. If it's just more of something that they take on a daily basis, as it's more about the packaging, or is it more about what's in the product? And then from a launch standpoint, we have been, I guess, exploring a lot of different options, especially when it comes to a celebrity brand, because you're not only accessing their entire following, but you still need to establish the research and the knowledge and the education that become behind the product, because it's not just the fact that you have someone that's very well known. you want, and they're saying, hey, I believe in this product, so I think you should too. You have to have the research and the knowledge and content to create the energy behind the product. So we take that holistic approach and really factor that into the whole process, from who we're procuring from and the timeline and the strategy behind just the packaging. And then when we go to launch, we like to do it through different mediums, not just, and also have a very like educational content created around the product too, to back up why we're saying this is a great product. And there's such a great opportunity to do that right now, because we're still in the stage where your product can stand out among all the other products out there just by putting those additional careful pieces of detail and product, I would say product personality or identity with it when you're developing it.
Let's face it, 3 years ago, you could just slap a sticker on a jar.
Yes.
And
yes.
you know, you're getting some sales. Christina, how do the Bloom brand and brands that you work with, how do you guys market for your audience? And how do you feel like you are able to stand out after all of these years? Because you guys have kind of stood out for years and years and years. Like I said, we've been consuming your products forever. And so how do you guys do it? Like what marketing tactics can you give to other brands to stand out and just to keep that integrity?
Yes. Definitely it's a challenging thing when you start as a cannabis brand back then, when cannabis was medical, because you have a lot of medical patients. Like we have a very large piece of our audience is people who use it for medical reasons. So whenever we do refresh the brand, whenever we do marketing campaigns, we always have to keep in mind that we always have recreational customers and medical customers, people who are looking for a certain type of relief. And one of the main things and one of the main strategies for us is the branding. So we didn't want to go like too deep into the fun colors and all this culture thing, because we knew like a big part of the customer base is people who need it for basic stuff. So we kept the packaging super clean, minimalistic, and we were doing a lot of educational content, because we knew that back then people were coming to us complaining for some things. And today we're trying to do a healthy mix. We're trying to be as educational as possible, but not overdo it, because people get bored very, very quickly. And then we also try to do personalized marketing at point of sales, because we have a lot of people who come to certain dispensaries or certain locations knowing that they can find the product there, knowing that the product is consistent. And honestly, we've been keeping the same strains for like almost 6 years, just because we knew the customer is using the product for certain needs. So it's definitely, I would say, a healthy mix. Like you need to be thinking about the culture, because you're a brand. So you'll be relevant as a brand, and you'll be inspiring and interesting and motivational when you keep up with the culture and when you keep up with the youth. But we are trying not to forget about those customers who supported us back then, when cannabis was not cool, you know, when brands were trying to hide their brand names and their logos and stuff like that. So that's why, by the way, we didn't take the approach of marketing products based on the effect, because of the same reason. Like we wanted to also be true to the customers who were always behind us.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. You definitely have to know who your market is, and you have to stick to that. Don't be all over the place. Just stick to what's working and stick to what you set out for your market, for your target market. And with that said, I want to talk to you, Shirley. I know you've done a lot of influencer marketing. What are some ways that, as an influencer marketer, brands can come to you to stay relevant as far as content marketing, what are some things that's worked for you for the brands that you represent in the past?
Well, I will say like my favorite thing is when they send me product and I'll just post it, and like they don't even ask me to post it, but I'll post it because I love cannabis. I think that's I feel like that's like the new wave, right? Is just having influencers on Instagram post your product. Even if it doesn't really matter, I feel like how many followers you have, but just people knowing that I do love cannabis and the brands that I do fuck with, that they're legit. For instance, yesterday I got a box from Daily High Club. I didn't even know who sent it to me, but there was a letter in the mail and it had her phone number, and I texted her and she was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you got it." And it was like a bong and like just a bunch of products. It was really cute, like the way they package it in a box. I think aesthetic is everything too. But yeah, I love when brands send influencers product, and just having it be organic, not like, oh, post like an ad, but just genuinely posting because you appreciate the product.
And what kind of content do you feel stands out the most? Is it just that post, or is it unboxing? Is it when you just your organic interaction with the product? What do you feel about that?
I mean, I will say I used to just post the picture, but I find that unboxing is a lot more interactive and like gets the people like more interested, I would say. I think it all depends on the person that's obviously posting it, but yeah, just making it look like attractive even to non-cannabis users.
Right. And do you feel like you need to have a connection with the brand before you post, or you just like, all right, I'll post it anyway?
I think that I mean, I have friends that obviously are a lot more, have their numbers are crazy, so they won't post unless they get paid. But for me, it's more like I'm so grateful for the product in general, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had talks with people like, yo, like you need to like raise your price, like blase blase. But honestly, I feel like cannabis is such a like loving, it's such a mutual love connection that I don't think it's about that really, but everyone's not like me in that sense.
And that's why I wanted to have Shirley on, because she's given us a whole different perspective. Even though she's a marketer as well, she's doing it from the fun side of it. So it's like she doesn't really know what is affecting the people that she's she's taking the pictures and posting her. She doesn't know how is it affecting her followers, excuse me. So Cara, do you feel like influencer marketing is dying, or do you feel like it's something that needs to be original content, or the influencer really needs to love it? How do you do it when it comes to your products?
Yes. Shirley actually brought up a really good point, that she is passionate about it. She's not asked, she's not paid. And while I fully recognize that influencers have chosen that as their career and their passion, but they also have to make money. So I also respect that. But where I see influencer marketing going, not only for cannabis, but for other lifestyle brands, is that people are tired of being sold to. Um, that is the nature of advertising. That is the nature of influencers who will simply pick up a product only if they're paid and paid well. And again, I fully appreciate any influencer who has turned that media into a source of revenue for them. So we still work with paid influencers. But for us, for Whedon and for My Jane specifically, there has to be missional alignment with our influencers. So, for example, at Whedon, our values are education. So, someone who's willing to align with an educational mission. It doesn't have to be boring, but there has to be just a tad of education in it. Passion, the energy and the enthusiasm for the power of the cannabis plant. Someone has to already feel that. Excellence, we only work with influencers who really put their all into it. So if you're going to be able to follow someone's feed or stories, you can see that there's just a level of professionalism, there's a level of intelligence, of care put into it. And finally, innovation is one of the Whedon brand values, for example. So we really look to people who are doing interesting things, some curious things.
Mm-hmm.
We do provide messaging as a guidepost, but never ask our influencers to simply follow it. It's more for their own education to align with us. And we've had, some great strategies with micro influencers and with influencers with smaller accounts. I think probably one of our biggest influencers who have the most following is TV host Jamie Foxx. But she really aligns with both the Whedon values and the My Jane values. And I think if you're listening to Alen of My Jane, president of My Jane earlier today, we're going to be debuting a micro influencer, micro affiliate program
I
for
love that.
real women. You may have never ever been used influencer marketing personally, or you don't consider yourself an influencer, but you know what? You might be an influencer to your mom's group. You might be to a group of women in a professional capacity.
Yeah.
We're all influencers. And so we want to be able to tap into that.
Can I ask what your definition of a micro influencer is? Like what's the line that distinguishes?
I really don't even look at the numbers, to your point. I think a traditional view of micro influencers is 5,000 or less. Really, if someone has even 500 followers, but they're a super engaged community, to me and to our brand, that is just as influential as someone who has 25,000 paid influencers.
And to speak to that, I've done a ton of influencer marketing campaigns, and I tell you, the best ones were the macro influencers, one with smaller Instagram accounts that has high engagement. Those are 500 people. You only have 500, but those people look up to you. They look to you to tell them, what to do, basically. And you might not know that you're an influencer, but you actually are. And those people those are the people that I feel has the most successful campaigns, because they don't know they're doing it. They're just doing it because they love doing it. They're not getting paid at that point, but they're doing it because they just want to. They whatever they're doing influencing for, they love doing it because they want to. That's what they like to do. And on that note, and we had to, at High Reach, we had to kind of pivot. We still do influencer marketing, but we did some pivoting because I felt like we came across a lot of brands that were burnt with influencer marketing, or just didn't see enough return on their investment. And they're looking for more. You can post a photo, but can we do a custom content creation, organic thing? And then that gets kind of costly, and then they fall off from there. So what we did was we did a lot of lifestyle marketing. So we take brands and put them in different events, and get them involved in the culture of entertainment. And I wanted to go to Letty, because this is her background, event planning and sponsorships for events. How do you feel that it's evolving when it comes to events in cannabis?
Well, that is absolutely my passion and my background. I done a lot of experiential marketing. And so when you talk about experiential marketing, you're talking about creating kind of a somewhat organic environment for consumers or community to kind of get together and socialize. But in that time period, you're introducing them to new products or ideas, or educating them. Everyone here has spoke to education, which is important. We have to always remember to keep education as part of our model, no matter what we're doing. And then we see in cannabis, everyone wants to, and we've all been smoking, before cannabis became legal. We get together with our friends, or we, hop in a car and we hotbox, or, we go to the back of the club, even though there's no smoking, we find a little corner somewhere to smoke. So now that we can do this openly in places, legally, we're creating those experiences with cannabis. We're bringing in brands and connecting brands with community. And as we're also identifying, certain demographics, or, I think Cristina spoke to her demographic being a lot of medical patients. So we can create all of these wonderful events based on the demographic that we're looking to reach, and create an experience. Now it's a little different, obviously, because of COVID. So we're coming on, but we're still doing it. We're coming, we're utilizing our technology to still come together. I mean, I did Bikram yoga on Zoom the other night. It wasn't as hot as it usually is, but I still was able to do it and I felt great. So we're all kind of, staying in our respective markets, but thinking outside the box and how can we create an experience, and in this experience introduce, the brands that we have an affinity for, a love for, connect. Well, hey, I know this brand over here is going to be good for my mom or my aunt or my, this community organization that I deal with. There's a lot of people that may, have whatever the ailment is. So just I find it wonderful. I did a brunch on Valentine's Day. I hosted a cannabis brunch, and it was just something I wanted to do. Valentine's Day is one of my favorite events because it's all about love, and I just get giddy around that time. And I said, I want to do something for the community. I created a cannabis brunch, and when we talk about influencers, I can't do it on my own. So in terms of food, how can I get a built-in audience? So I went to two of my very well-known chefs within the community. One of them just cooks on the weekends at a local flea market, but everyone goes to him because they love his food. So I said, I need him. And then another young lady who focuses on vegan, food. And I brought them, to my project because, again, they're influencers. They have their own, reach. They have their own clan or followers or what you say. So I'm just incorporating the influencers, the experiential, the putting brands, now this is an opportunity. I have a captive audience to talk about different brands that could help with, whatever it is they need to incorporate in their lives.
Yeah. And I think now more than ever, you can't do it by yourself. I feel like you ladies and just having you guys as friends and just everyone else on the panel, I can always pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm doing this event. Do you want to be a part of it? Do you want to do that? So it's about community. And I feel like the reason why we started She Blazing was, to build that community within women and to feel all inclusive and to open up that conversation for every woman to be involved in cannabis, rather it's marketing, rather it's accounting, rather it's just consuming the plant, and just start to normalize that conversation. And when we do our job as marketers the right way, those people will start feeling more inclusive. You'll have moms starting to smoke, not publicly, but just not trying to hide it or being ashamed of it or embarrassed of it. For us, we're on the West Coast. It's a whole different culture. But Cara, how are you guys trying to market products to people on the East Coast now that federal legalization might be coming up soon? And it could be years from now, but this goes for Cara and Cristina. Just marketing to a whole new set of people that don't know anything about the plant and they're starting from brand new.
So with our companies, Whedon has licenses in the state of California only. My chain is able to sell its THC products through licensed retailers in California. But on the CBD side is where we are able to market nationwide, and also on the accessory side. That's actually been really interesting since COVID-19, especially. Because our accessories businesses, like Hippie Butler, Rolling Paper Depot, White Coat Hemp Co., have always been doing phenomenally well. But since smoke shops have closed because they're non-essential businesses, we're seeing an uptick in there. So there is opportunity to then to be able to educate, to reach out, and to show that we're reactive to people's own situations and respectful of that, and giving them another opportunity for convenience and for education.
Oh, Cristina?
Yes, so I think we, as a company, we have almost the same strategy as a lot of other cannabis companies out there. Right now, we sell products only through delivery services and retail dispensaries. In the meantime, we are developing CBD products that can help us take the brand to a whole different level and open many other doors for us, because we've been trying to normalize cannabis again, like since 2014. But the problem is that we always had this, oh, it's cannabis, oh, we don't know. And we sell vapes, so it's even harder than maybe beverages, for example. So one thing for us is product development, making sure that we can complement the main product line with another product line that will put us in the views of other target audiences. Obviously, we don't want to overextend the brand too much, but it's a business tactic rather than a marketing or branding tactic. That's one thing. Second thing is, in terms of education and in terms of providing education to beginners and people who don't know anything about cannabis, making sure that you have the right infrastructure as a brand in terms of creating content, because this is going to help you not only from this educational side, but also because we are not allowed to advertise on Google or on Facebook or on Instagram. But when you have the infrastructure to do organic content, then you catch two things at the same time. You do education, and then you do organic content, and you attract new people towards your brand, and so on and so on. I've seen some of our blog posts just skyrocketing just because we were talking about the right things. So it's something that it's not that easy to do, but again, like with patience, with the right team, with the right resources, you can build it slowly, but you can build it for sure.
I have a question from the audience. From Eve, have regulations impacted your marketing plans? So for says that's big in adult use. So has regulations impacted any of your plans for the future?
Oh yeah, it impacted us a lot from branding perspective. When we rebranded, we were going with a visual identity for each product SKU. So we were using some visual identities that were related to candies, cartoons, and then when California became recreational, we had to ditch everything that we've done and start from scratch, just because some of the packages we were afraid they will be too much appealing to kids. So we lost a little bit of money because of that. We had to redo the work. So in a way, it did affect us from creativity standpoint, because we weren't able to realize and execute our original idea. Also, of course, you have to market to your audience that is only 21 plus, and this has been a constant problem. For example, TikTok. Everyone is jumping on TikTok right now. I'm so scared. We are so scared to do that, just because I'm not sure if I don't know how to market just to 21 plus people on TikTok, right? There's a bunch of kids out there, and cannabis is for people 21 plus. So it's a very confusing thing. Like, what do we do? Like, how do we protect ourselves as a brand? Like, how can we, catch the trend, catch the wave, but also make sure that you do not get in trouble with BCC?
Agreed. I have another question, and anyone can answer this one. It's from Ashley Grimes on our Facebook page. It says, "Thank you all for this conference and your expertise and time. I am a marketing consultant for a new hemp company, Samson Abstracts, which is made up from a group of Alabama farmers that have over 200 years experience combined, and one of the most diverse farms in the state. I am having a difficult time with paid for /boosted/sponsored posts on social media. Almost every time I post, it gets flagged. We sell clones, grow hemp, and by June, I will have a state-of-the-art processing plant for CBD. My questions are, how do I break through the barriers of social media marketing? And what is the best way to get in front of licensed hemp holders during this state of the world where I cannot meet people in person? I have been sending emails out and blasting. So, I mean, if anyone can speak to the social media part, how to get over that part.
Well, I know for a fact you have to be very careful with your language. You know, you can't, talk about sales. I mean, I'm not sure what she's using at this time, but there are places where you can go online to kind of get that guideline of what you can or cannot say. But that's a great question, because we all struggle with that at some point. What can I say? What can't I say?
Mhm.
Yeah, we've been focusing on that as well, just because and coming from the supplement world too, in my past more biochemistry life, it was very important, like even if you take a white labeled product and you copy from the site that you white labeled, there's still a possibility that you might have issues with the FDA, just depending on how things are changing. So just being very focused on what is the what are the properties of the product that you're selling, how may they, or how have they influenced you personally, without making those claims of this is what you can expect from the product, but maybe just focusing more on what are you looking for, partnering with people that are, right now there's a lot of nonprofit, for example, like music live DJ sessions that are going on. You can partner. I look at right now as a great time to focus on who are your strategic partners, even if they're in different industries. If you partner with them, it's just growing brand awareness for you without you going out online and making claims. And from that, there will be people that are influencers potentially using your product, but they won't necessarily be directly saying, oh, this is what the product does, or trying to market it to you. And that's a good way to kind of create that safety barrier of your marketing, getting your brand out without making claims that are going to potentially cause issues with your wording and how you're targeting your market.
Cara, did you want to say something? You wanted to add to that?
I did. Cassie, I'm going to echo everything you said, because I think it's so right. What we've been able to do as we've been, the only kind of paid advertising, social media advertising that we've done is really around educational events. So, or looking at lookalike audiences. We're very much based in the community, for example. So Whedon hosted a dog adoption last fall. And we were able to promote the nonprofit, promote the dog adoption, and oh, by the way, it's sponsored by Whedon. So we look at ways to align cannabis with things that are normal part of life already. You can look at the lookalike audiences. Another tip, though, is it sounds like the woman who wrote in for her company also is looking at some B2B plays. Ashley, thank you. And Ashley, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any of your questions and help you too. But beyond that, it looks like it's some of a B2B play. And so I would encourage anyone in a B2B play also to use more traditional sales tactics. You know, it's the time to go back to things that may seem so antiquated, like picking up the phone and having a telephone conversation, sending a handwritten note. You will not believe how much you get through the clutter if you actually jot someone a nice note and then follow up with a phone call or an email. You know, we got to go back to basics during this time of crisis and not overcomplicate things, and just get back to a really clear message and a clear way of communicating with one another and building community.
Awesome. And with that said, we're going to wrap up the meeting with, where do you feel, in about 2 to 3 sentences, where do you feel the future of cannabis marketing for women is going? You feel like we're about to take over? Because I feel like that. What do you feel, Cara? You could go ahead. Or Letty, you wanted to start off?
No, I was just saying. No.
Yeah, that's right. The future is female. The future is female. We women make 90% of health and wellness decisions, 80% of consumer buying decisions. I think women, it's also time for, I love all the comments were made at the beginning of how, so many brands were created by women and women are at the forefront. But now it's time to exercise our voice and exercise our power and choose to buy women-led brands, choose to invest in entrepreneurs that are aligned with women's issues. That's how we are able to influence and continue to lead this industry.
Cristina?
Well, I think women are very good psychologists. I feel like women, they see a little bit more deeper than men sometimes. And I think that single thing will enable us to be understanding the customer behavior a little bit more, to understand their true desires, their pain points. As human beings, before we even talk about customer journey and all that. So based on solely that fact, I think the future is bright for female marketers, for female entrepreneurs, and I have faith, and I have and I'm proud when I see so many hardworking women who do it all, building careers, building brands, building businesses, and also living the lifestyle that they feel like it's for them, and they don't have to listen to anyone else, and just doing their thing, minding their own business.
Yeah. Letty?
Women are more compassionate, right, than men. Will we all agree? Cannabis is an industry of compassion. Cannabis is about compassion, about helping, about healing. So if this is the facts, then, and women are more compassionate, then that means this is our industry to blaze trails. And on that note, blaze.
Oh yeah, happy 420. We're 10 minutes late. And Shirley, go ahead.
Which is the trajectory of women in cannabis, you're saying?
Yeah, women marketers in cannabis.
To be honest, I'm trying to think if the majority of people, I mean, Rapper Weed is all guys. Actually, all the brands I work with are guys, minus Candy Pens, which my girl is a female and does their marketing. But I think, I don't know. I hope that I can build my network up a little more, and it's awesome to have this opportunity to connect with you guys. I just looked at my Instagram profile, like stats, and it said my demo is 70% men, which is crazy because I never knew that. But that's why I'm like wondering, because I've talked to people about like, oh, I wonder, like I want to change my Instagram to a cannabis influencer, and my girl at Candy Pens or someone suggested like, no, cannabis brands like regular influencers, not just cannabis specific. But
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not answering your question, but
No, you are. No, you are. And
yeah.
No, you are. You definitely answered it, because definitely just be true to yourself. Right. You don't have to be a cannabis marketer, influencer marketer. You are Shirley Jew. You're a journalist, and the reason why your demographics is more men is because that's more people that come to your page to see the rappers. You're interviewing all the hottest top talent. So of course, rappers is more male dominated as far as that kind of music. So that's the lane that you are in, and that's what you take full advantage of. Cassi?
Yeah, what I would say about the time that we're in is that women are very nurturing. Right now, we're in a time period where families are actually spending more time at home together. And there's a lot of value in the fact that we're also the ones very in tune with what are the nutritional needs. So not just because of being female, but in general, if we're thinking about what people are focusing on right now, it's how do we boost our immune systems? How do we reprioritize taking care of ourselves? How do we take care of the family? So this is the opportunity to say, these products are they're for nutrients, they're for feeling good. It's everything from your skin to any ailments that you might have. And it's kind of a recentering of focusing on where does your food come from? Where do your products come from? And how are you nurturing your body all the time to maintain a level of health? And I really think that that's what's interesting about marketing in cannabis or developing CBD products, it's all about something that's already has an organic component that our body is very familiar with. And we're now realizing like the importance to that and just how fulfilling that can be to involve everyone instead of just, like you said, Letty, it's for everyone. It really is. So, and this is such like a prime opportunity because people really are looking at it in a completely different way, and it's just extraordinary.
Well, these times are extraordinary, and you ladies are extraordinary. And I really appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time out your day to talk to little old me. But I know that our viewers got a lot out of this, and you guys are very inspiring to someone that's trying to break in the industry. And I hope that you all keep moving the needle forward, and I can't wait for the amazing things that you guys have planned in the future. I'm going to drop all your socials in the box, so if anyone have any more questions, you can reach out to them directly. Thank you so much, ladies.
Yeah. Virtual hugs.
Thank you. Great.
Bye. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ladies. Bye-bye.